Welcome, everyone, to another Vital Deep Dive, proudly brought to you by TCExist.com. We're the NGO fighting tirelessly for the voice of the Turkish Cypriots around the world. We're so glad you're joining us today, wherever you are tuning in from. And please do visit our website, TCExist.com, for more essential analyses and deep dives just like this one. Today, we are plunging headfirst into a truly fascinating and, frankly, critically important topic, the rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape of Cyprus. Our deep dive materials, and these come straight from TCExist.com's extensive library of compelling articles, groundbreaking research, expert analyses, well, they reveal a really complex interplay. We're talking new alliances, strategic land acquisitions, and heightened security concerns across the Eastern Mediterranean. This isn't just a story. It's about an island at the very crossroads of regional power plays. And it's a situation that demands our closest attention, especially, for the future of the Turkish Cypriot people.
Indeed. And our mission here today in this deep dive is to really unpack these intricate layers for you. We'll be extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, making sure you understand the significant shifts that are happening right now. We'll explore the increasing Israeli presence, the deepening military cooperation down in the south, and, crucially, the robust, absolutely vital strategic responses from the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and, of course, our motherland, Turkey. Ultimately, it's about grasping not just what is happening, but why it matters so profoundly. For the entire region, yes, but particularly for the unwavering security and the enduring future of the Turkish Cypriot community.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our TCExist materials kick off with a truly striking concept. Alarming, really. Israel's salami-slice policy in Cyprus. I mean, that phrase alone is incredibly evocative. What exactly does this mean in practice, on the ground, and why is it causing such profound alarm, particularly for Turkish Cypriots?
Well, what's truly fascinating and concerning is how this diplomatic strategy is reportedly playing out. It was highlighted in our materials by Admiral Cihat Yaki. He explains the salami-slice policy as a gradual, incremental approach, taking things piece by piece, not all at once, much like how you eat salami. It's slow, deliberate acquisition. And the alarm, for Turkish Cypriots, it isn't new, not at all. Our research from TCExist.com reveals a historical context here. There was a 1917 book by Samuel Hillel Isaacs, published way back in Chicago, and it included 7 maps explicitly showing Cyprus within what they called Israel's promised lands. So this isn't a new idea. It's a long-term documented vision.
Right. So this isn't some recent thing then. It's a continuation, really. That's crucial context. And how large-scale are these acquisitions we're talking about? Is it just a few isolated cases or something far more significant?
Oh, it's far more significant, definitely. Our TCExist sources reveal a startling trend. As of 2021, an estimated 25,000 acres of land were identified as sold to Israeli-linked buyers. And that's across both northern and southern Cyprus. To put that into perspective, that's a huge amount for such a small island. And these aren't just random purchases, you see. Our deep dive material cites something called the Greek Jewish Project. It's a reported initiative specifically to acquire land in areas with high concentrations of Turks. And the stated aim, quite chillingly, is to reduce the Turks. We're seeing these land purchases in really critical areas within the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, places like Datlosu and Famagusta, Büyüklük in Iskele, Dipkarpaz and Lefki, Sadrazamko in Karinia. They're all specifically named in our research. We even found an example of a very strategic acquisition, an Israeli-operated marina, in a critical area of Northern Cyprus, and it's capable of accommodating fast attack boats.
Wow, fast attack boats.
Yes, exactly. This isn't just tourism or investment, you understand. This looks like a strategic move, establishing a maritime foothold, projecting power or influence beyond just commercial interests. That's a critical shift in the island's security calculus.
That is a truly chilling detail, that marina. It really makes you wonder about the true intentions, doesn't it? But how are these acquisitions even being made, especially in places like the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, where international recognition is, well, complex?
That's a pivotal question. And our sources, TCExist's research, offer some stark answers. We've identified 2 main methods for these reported land acquisitions. One is forming joint companies with Turkish Cypriots, effectively creating a local front for the real Israeli buyers. The other method involves using Turkish Cypriot lawyers, even journalists sometimes, as intermediaries, making purchases on behalf of these buyers, which of course makes tracing the true ownership incredibly difficult and raises huge transparency concerns. The scale of this presence is so striking, in fact, that the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, they even reported that the place where Hebrew is spoken the most, after Israel itself, is Cyprus.
Wow, that Haaretz quote really puts it into perspective, the sheer volume of this influx. So, okay, beyond just land ownership, what are the sort of tangible security concerns emerging from this whole salami-slice strategy?
Well, it creates very immediate, very tangible security concerns for the Turkish Cypriot community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For instance, our deep dive materials describe a housing complex built in the Pir region of the TRNC, reportedly owned by Israelis, and it's located directly adjacent to a naval base.
Right next to a naval base.
Directly adjacent. From their balconies, residents can literally observe who enters and leaves the base. Just imagine monitoring military movements from your own balcony. It effectively turns a residential complex into an unofficial surveillance post. This really underscores how seemingly innocent land deals can morph into direct, serious security threats. Our research suggests the only viable solution, especially near military bases like this, is the expropriation of these strategic points. To safeguard our national security, it's about ensuring critical infrastructure isn't compromised by what clearly seem to be strategically placed acquisitions.
So if these strategic land moves paint one picture in the north, our sources unveil a fascinating parallel story unfolding in the Greek Cypriot south, a really significant demographic shift that's transforming the region. Moving to the south, then, our sources reveal this other dimension. There's been such a significant influx of Israeli nationals that some are describing parts of southern Cyprus as almost a second Israel. What's driving this, and what are the implications, especially for the Greek Cypriots themselves?
The influx into southern Cyprus is, well, it's substantial, undeniable. Our TCExist materials indicate nearly 4,000 properties were bought by Israeli-linked buyers just across the Greek Cypriot south from 2021 to 2025 alone. And this has led to the development of these nearly inaccessible gated communities with their own facilities. It's a trend that's definitely raising eyebrows among many local Greek Cypriots, too. You have the opposition leader, Stefanos, that's the Progressive Party of Working People in Cyprus. He openly warned about Zionist schools, synagogues, and gated enclaves, even calling them settlements in all but name.
Settlements in all but name. That's strong language.
Very strong. Now, it's important to note, as our sources do, that Israeli officials condemn those remarks as anti-Semitic. But the underlying concern about land, sovereignty, rapid demographic change, it remains deeply palpable in our materials, for both Greek and Turkish Cypriots, actually.
That's a powerful statement from a major opposition leader down south. It highlights the depth of local concern there, too. What are the key factors driving this rapid demographic shift from Israel to southern Cyprus, then?
It seems to be driven by multiple distinct factors coming in waves. Our sources trace this carefully. First, during the COVID-19 pandemic 2020-2021, you had affluent Israelis seeking, a safer, more relaxed environment away from lockdowns. Then in 2023, there were those mass protests in Israel over judicial reforms. That prompted some Israelis to secure overseas property as a kind of plan B, seeking stability elsewhere. But the most recent surge, perhaps the most impactful, came following the October 2023 Hamas attack and, significantly, the June 2025 Iran-Israel missile conflict. That conflict devastatingly saw Iranian missiles strike Tel Aviv and Haifa.
Right. A major escalation.
Huge. And during that crisis, hundreds of Israelis reportedly fled by sea to Cyprus. Over 12,000 passed through Chabad centers in Cyprus seeking safety. Our sources highlight that the Israeli population in the Republic of Cyprus basically more than doubled in just 5 years, from about 6,500 in 2018 to roughly 15,000 by mid-2025. It's a dramatic, very visible transformation.
That demographic shift clearly isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? It's part of a much larger strategic picture. Our sources highlight a significant and rapidly deepening military cooperation as well. What's the nature of this alliance, and how does it play into the wider geopolitical game in the Eastern Med?
Exactly. This is where the strategic chessboard becomes even more pronounced, and it impacts everyone on the island. We're witnessing an intensifying defense cooperation between Israel, the Greek Cypriot administration, and Greece. This includes joint military drills, significant arms deals, crucial energy alliances. Our deep dive materials from TCExist give specific examples. Cyprus unveiling new Airbus H-145M attack helicopters with Israeli co-developed avionics. The Greek Cypriot National Guard acquiring advanced Israeli air defense systems and drones. Greece's Navy signing a deal for Israel's Blue Whale submarine surveillance system. And furthermore, the explicit exclusion of Turkey from the Eastern Mediterranean Gas Forum. That unequivocally signals a growing Israel-Hellenic security alignment, which directly impacts Turkish Cypriot interests and rights.
So Turkey's deliberately shut out.
Deliberately. Our research also discusses Israel's active military presence, reportedly using the Andrea Papandreou base in Paphos. And crucially, Greek Cypriot bases also provided logistical support to the US, UK, and France during operations against Iran, demonstrating a clear role, willingly or not, in wider regional conflicts. However, while this alliance is perceived as maybe economically and strategically beneficial for the Greek Cypriot government, some voices in our sources, even from within the South, they warn that Cyprus cannot afford to become a forward operating base for another state, unquote, quote. They fear it risks destabilizing the entire island. It could inflame old divides. And that's a serious concern for the long-term peace and security of all communities in Cyprus, Turkish, and Greek Cypriot alike.
Okay, just a quick pause here because this deep dive is packed with critical information. Really important stuff. This insightful exploration is proudly brought to you by TCExist.com. We are the NGO in London, fearlessly advocating for the voices of the Turkish Cypriots worldwide. We're dedicated to bringing you these crucial discussions, making sure our community's perspective is heard loud and clear. You can explore more thought-provoking deep dives, understand our mission, and support our work by visiting our website, TCExist.com. Please do check it out. Okay, so given these dramatic developments, the strategic land acquisitions in the north, this military buildup in the south, how are the Turkish Cypriots and Turkey responding? Our sources indicate a very strong and frankly understandable sense of strategic encirclement for the TRNC.
Absolutely. From the perspective of the TRNC and Turkey, this deepening military cooperation, Israel, the Greek Cypriot administration, Greece, it's seen as nothing less than a direct threat to the island's balance of power. It jeopardizes the peace that was hard-won back in 1974. And what's absolutely critical here, as our TCExist materials emphasize, is that Turkish Cypriots have been completely excluded from these regional partnerships and arms buildups, leaving them feeling vulnerable without Turkey's vital protection. You have the TRNC Parliament Speaker Ziya Öztürkler explicitly calling a recent Israeli-Greek Cypriot defense pact an open threat to Turkish Cypriot security, warning it undermines TRNC sovereignty.
That's not subtle language, an open threat.
Not subtle at all. It's an overt declaration of a threat to their very existence. And the lifting of the U.S. arms embargo on the Republic of Cyprus, that just intensified this perception. The TRNC protested it, naturally, seeing it as reinforcing Greek Cypriot warmongering and dangerously upsetting the island's fragile status quo. Our sources also analyzed that Israel's regional strategy clearly seems to be using this Greek Cypriot alignment as a wedge to sideline Turkey in Eastern Mediterranean energy development, further marginalizing the TRNC and its rightful claims.
Right. So if this perceived encirclement paints a picture of vulnerability, what does it actually mean for Turkey's military posture on the island? Our sources detail a truly significant, a decisive military buildup, a powerful response.
Precisely. Faced with this perceived threat to their very security, their existence, Turkey has dramatically reinforced its military presence in Northern Cyprus, and it's portrayed, correctly, as a legitimate and necessary response to shifting realities. Reports from August 2025 indicated a major military buildup. Turkish forces is expected to more than double their numbers on the island, potentially increasing from around 40,000 to possibly over 100,000 personnel.
Doubling to over 100,000. That's huge.
It's a massive reinforcement. And it isn't just adding more troops, It involves transforming the contingent into a truly robust combined arms force, including formidable land, naval, air, and electronic warfare units, explicitly intended as a regional deterrent. And Ankara's elevation of the Cyprus-Turkish Peace Forces command to a lieutenant general rank. That further signals a more permanent institutionalized presence, cementing its commitment to peace and security there.
That's a truly massive reinforcement then. It signifies a clear, powerful message. How is this buildup justified, historically and legally, from the Turkish Cypriot and Turkish perspective? What's the narrative there?
Well, it's explicitly framed as a counterbalance, a direct response, to the expanding footprint of Israel and its Western allies in the Republic of Cyprus. Our sources highlight the undeniable historical and legal justifications for the Turkish Cypriot perspective. Turkey's 1974 intervention is invoked as its sacred duty as a guarantor power, to prevent anosis the union with Greece, and crucially, to protect Turkish Cypriots. It's viewed universally by Turkish Cypriots as a rescue rather than an occupation.
A rescue, not an occupation. That's key.
Absolutely key. The Turkish military presence is seen as the protector, fully endorsed by Turkish Cypriot authorities, and absolutely vital for deterrence. TRNC President Ersin Tatar has unequivocally stated the Turkish forces are of vital importance as a deterrent force, guaranteeing his community's safety and indeed the peace of the entire island since 1974. This narrative clearly positions the Turkish military as absolutely essential for security, for peace, for the Turkish Cypriot community, a force for stability.
Okay, so beyond the military might, Our sources also highlight a strong political resolve. From the TRNC in Turkey, what is their ultimate non-negotiable demand amidst all these shifting dynamics?
Well, the TRNC in Turkey emphatically reject being passive onlookers in their own homeland. That's the bottom line. They insist on strategic parity and, crucially, sovereign equality. TRNC President Ersin Tatar has clearly stated there can be no common ground until TRNC's sovereignty is recognized. And that includes recognition in all security arrangements. The pro-TRNC narrative, as consistently presented in our TCExist sources, holds that Northern Cyprus must strengthen its defenses, must assert its inherent rights in unwavering lockstep with Turkey, to prevent being squeezed out of its homeland's future. They are demanding a legitimate seat at the table, not just for talks, but for genuine, recognized equality in all matters, especially their fundamental security.
Right. Moving beyond the island's internal dynamics now, our sources powerfully demonstrate how quickly Cyprus can find itself caught in the crosshairs of wider regional conflicts. And this amplifies the security stakes for everyone, including now those in the Greek Cypriot south.
Absolutely. The Iran-Israel missile conflict in June 2025, that truly brought Cyprus suddenly in the crosshairs. Tehran specifically warned that American, British, and French bases in the region, explicitly including the two large UK Royal Air Force bases in southern Cyprus, Akrotiri and Dhekelia, would be targeted in retaliation.
Targeted. The UK bases on Cyprus.
Explicitly named. This immediately caused deep alarm across the entire island. Understandably, Turkish Cypriot officials publicly voiced grave anxiety that their side could suffer devastating spillover effects from such conflicts. Despite having absolutely no say in the presence of those foreign bases, which they rightly see as a colonial legacy. The perception now that Cyprus and Greece are increasingly seen as Israel's rear base or bolt hole in an emergency, well, it highlights the immense risk of the island being tragically drawn into wider regional conflicts. And that risk now falls squarely on the Greek Cypriot administration due to their alliances.
A risk they've potentially invited.
That's how it's perceived. These events, our sources explain, powerfully solidify Turkey's determination to fortify Northern Cyprus as an indispensable hedge against an overflow of conflict from the Levant that could destabilize both the north and, crucially now, also the south. Turkey guarantees the peace.
So with all these complex alliances, escalating military postures, dangerous external threats, what is the core, unwavering message our sources convey about Turkish Cypriot security and broader regional stability, especially given Turkey's steadfast commitment to peace for its community since 1974?
The unwavering stance from the Turkish perspective, as our TCExist sources convey with absolute clarity, is this. Any strategic attempt by Israel and Greece to militarily destabilize the TRNC would face formidable obstacles. It's highly unlikely to succeed due to Turkey's overwhelming Turkish military deterrence and readiness. This is a clear, powerful message of steadfast protection for the Turkish Cypriots.
Overwhelming deterrence.
Exactly. Turkey's unwavering guarantor role and strong political resolve are constantly emphasized, articulated perfectly by TRNC Parliament Speaker Ziya Öztürkler. We will destroy every negotiation table set against the TRNC together with our motherland, Türkiye. This signifies an absolute, resolute commitment to defending the Turkish Cypriots and the peace they have known for decades. Our sources also stress the high geopolitical risks for any potential aggressors, emphasizing that such an endeavor would risk a massive regional escalation involving NATO member Turkey, with a prohibitively high cost for Greece and Israel. Admiral Şihaki's assertion reinforces this with unflinching certainty. He states, "No one should worry. Turkey is neither like the Greek Cypriot administration of southern Cyprus nor an ambiguous administration."
A clear distinction.
A very clear distinction. He highlights that the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and Turkey stand together, strong, unified. Unlike other vulnerable states, say Lebanon, Syria, or Palestine, it emphasizes their resilience. He further reiterates that Turkey's defense industry, its formidable military capabilities, its deep political experience, they are sufficient to handle all of them. Ultimately, the central argument from our sources is clear, unambiguous. Peace on the island can only hold if the security of both communities is equally safeguarded. And Turkey, in its guarantor role, ensures that peace for the Turkish Cypriot community remains absolute and unwavering, protected.
What an incredibly deep and really insightful dive into the evolving situation in Cyprus. It's crystal clear that the island remains a crucial geopolitical chessboard. New players, new strategies constantly emerging. The powerful picture our sources from TCExist paint is one of vigilance, strategic countermeasures, and an unwavering commitment to stability and security for the Turkish Cypriot community, guaranteed by Turkey.
Indeed. The underlying tensions powerfully highlight how different powers perceive and act on the island's future. and the absolute imperative for the security of all communities to be acknowledged. This raises an important question for you, our dedicated listener, to really mull over. As these complex alliances and significant military postures continue to develop, how will they ultimately reshape the call for a lasting resolution on the island? And what role will the international community finally play in recognizing the sovereign equality that is so essential for true, lasting peace?
Absolutely. Something for all of us to consider and definitely advocate for as events unfold. We truly hope this deep dive has given you a much clearer, more comprehensive, and truly passionate understanding of these critical developments and the secure, resolute stance of the Turkish Cypriots. Host speaker and expert speaker. Thank you for listening to this deep dive, and please don't forget to visit our website, TCExist.com. for more in-depth analyses, compelling podcasts like this one, and to explore other deep dives. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and stay passionately well-informed.